Welcome. I'm David. Paint tube itself. We have the one cylinder. Let's get a paint tube. Paint tube. So you have the main body structure here. This was done in contractor's paper. A little crimp at the bottom. That was also done with contractor paper. They both were done separately. I had a hole back here that I was working on when we had the bend of the crimp. So I have this attached right through here. That was a combination of tape and paper mache and then gessoed. On the back here I had an access point because I had a wire, we'll say rib cage, built in, and that way this whole tube section floated. It was lightweight and the wire cage was able to hold the top part of the tube, which I'm calling the nozzle. So this was out of foam core, cardboard, and then I paper mache'd and then plastered. This has a decent amount of weight to it. I'm going to say maybe 5 to 7 pounds. So that would just be held by the wires. I made it so it can fit right in, and there's a hook on the inside that the nozzle clamps to. And then for this area here, that's where I wrapped canvas, so I had a little bit of a skirt, and that way any uneven parts where it didn't really match up nicely and fit into the tube, I was able to hide. Pop this back on. Deal with the metal of the stairs. But the landlord did come up with a good solution on that one. It's like, Dave, why don't you just use magnets? Geez, Rick, I didn't think about magnets. Let me tell you, the magnets saved the day. And I was able to add on stronger bracing. The cost per magnet, I think it was like $6 or $7. So I can move those. I am not committed, locked in to one spot. I can adjust how the drips come down the stairwell and change it. When people walk into the building, I wanted to have it be alive, have some motion to it. So you'll see on the stairwell it's open, goes from the first floor all the way up to the 5th floor. My goal was to, maneuver the eye, pull the eye all the way up, or resemblance of a body inside like a sleeping bag. As you walk up, it does create like a profile of a human face, head. And then what else did we go through? I had Heather and Rachel help me with the drips. They were a big help. Heather was a trooper on this one. I'm sure you'll be meeting Heather at some point. Hopefully you'll be meeting a lot of the other people that come in here and paint with me and the other artists in this building. This building has over 68 studios and it's home for the creative minds. The basement is all music studios. You got 20 music studios down there. And then every type of art throughout the building. So let's get back to the drips. So first I made up some sketches. I held the paint tube up to try to get about the size, dimensions, and how I wanted things positioned. So I started off with contractor's paper and I folded it in the shape of a cylinder, and then I wrestled with it and crumpled it, taped it up, and got a basic shape to it. Then the next thing I did was I gessoed. By gessoing the contractor's paper, it helps put almost like a casing on the contractor's paper so the tube would sort of hold its shape better. After getting it all gessoed and primed, that's when I came in with paper mache. It was a little messy, but it didn't take that long because we didn't have to be super fine about edges and that, because this is going to be looked at from an average of 20 feet away. Some balloons, blew them up, stuffed those in the cavity of the tube, and then I took spray foam and I just kept going in and letting the spray foam fill up the spaces. So that made it lighter. It gave it some structural integrity, and I didn't go broke by using a ton of spray foam. That stuff it will add up if you use enough of it. So I also did put wiring in the frame inside there, and that's how I connected the tube with the nozzle of the tube. Then I folded over some canvas, adhere that so it actually made a little skirt around the paint tube itself. So we got the body of the paint tube, paper mache. I had to make the actual spout of the paint tube. That, I took some foam core, foam board, and I started shaping. I got the general shape. I did use a lot of masking tape on that one. And then I started putting plaster on it. After I got the plaster on there, I carved it down, sanded it down, got it to how I was going to hang, but the body and the spout of the tube together, join them inside the body of the paint tube. To help hold structure, what I did was I took the shape that I was looking for, which is sort of the upper torso of a body with a head as a tube. Got the painting. I did use Montana spray paint for the first time. Let me tell you, that stuff is good. It covers. When I was growing up, they didn't have different tips. It will spray different ways. We didn't have different air pressures in our spray paint. I'm so happy they came up with that. So I got those painted, figured out. So then I got thinking about it. You ever see those commercials for Flex Seal? The screen bottom of the boat, you can spray it. and your boat floats. Like, well, stocking's similar to a screen, and if it can hold out water, it means it can hold out paint and fill in the cracks. So that's what I did. Drips were pretty easy actually once I figured it out. Stockings and a water balloon. So I put the water balloon in the stockings, had a little board at the top so it would hold open the thicker part of the drip, wherever it's dripping from. After I got those two attached, took the water balloon, had the water balloon, depending on how long I wanted the drip, was about how much water I put into the water balloon. And then I would blow air into the water balloon to make it expand to a bigger size, but keeping the same weight. Once I figured out the weights of the different drips, they gave me the length of how long they were going to be. I got some heavy duty magnets that I put inside the drips. That way I could just stick them right up to the metal underneath the stairwell, and that's installation. I don't like heights. I'm not being on a ladder, especially when you can look all the way down 3-4 floors. I don't want to be a splat. I don't want to have a drip happen to me. So I got the spray foam on there, sealed it all up, and then I did gesso them, and then I did spray paint them. And that was smooth. I did poke a hole and let the water drain out of the water balloon. They kept their shapes. That was pretty much the making of the drips.